Hello, my name is Fox and you're watching Den of Fools. Let's jump right in. The Frontline Gaming Lone Star Open took place in Allen, USA from the 21st to the 23rd of July 2023. The tournament had 6 rounds with 214 players and 1,225 games played. Ben Jurek won the tournament with their Aldari. I did mention that the Tau list came second at a big tournament in our previous stats show. I'm sure many of you were wondering how someone managed to get Tau into second place. Well, the player was cheating and has been disqualified and now sits in 214th place. Trevi from Tactical Tortoise did a very good video going over what they did. If you are interested, I recommend you watch his video. I'll link it in the description. I'm glad I watched it before doing this tournament spotlight. With the DQ, Eric Tad and their GC the Cults came second, with Robert Morland running Astra Militarum in third. Big congratulations to all these players, and apologies for any poor pronunciation of their names. The winning Aldari list of course looks very similar to the list we have seen in our previous tournament spotlights. We have had a more in-depth look at the units in those videos, so I'd recommend you check those out if you're interested. We see much the same characters as we usually do. The index FAQ has now been released. This tournament was played before its release, so it had no effect on these results. Having said that, the auto did get a fair few changes, but only to represent the equipment in the kits better. We didn't see any changes to the Incarn, for example. Its teleporting ability will be just as strong. We have 3 Fire Prisms, a Night Spinner, a squad of 5 Shadow Spectres, the Wart Spiders, a Wraith Knight, and the popular Warwalkers. GW did change the number you can take in a unit, meaning you can only take 1 rather than 2. I must say, not a single Aldari list we have seen took the Warwalkers in units of 2, or support weapons which were hit with the same change. Perhaps this was done to represent how players were actually using them in games. The second place Genestealer Cults list takes a plethora of characters. There is an Acolyte Icon Ward as the Warlord, giving the unit he's leading a 5+ feel no pain, and some ambush marker flexibility. Once per battle, when you have to remove a cult ambush marker as the opponent has got within 9 inches of it, you can place it again within 12 inches of a friendly model, and not within 9 inches of an enemy model. He'll be leading one of the big 20-man squads of Neophyte hybrids. We see a Nexos who can give a free stratagem, and they can move cult ambush markers. This one also has the Meticulous Planner enhancement, allowing you to increase the cost of an enemy stratagem by 1 CP. I would imagine they were attached to one of the squads alongside either the Icon Ward or one of the 3 Primus. Speaking of the Primus, they give their unit reroll hits, and if you have one on the field, you can send 3 units into Strategic Reserve after deployment. There is a Biophagus who will be leading the big 10-man squad of Aberrants to make a pretty scary looking unit, with lethal hits and a -1 to wound against high strength attacks. There is a Clamavus. They make units within 12 inches of them test Battleshock at -1, and they take a mortal wound if they fail. They also prevent units setting up within 12 inches of them, a useful ability to combat deep strike charges. Finally, there is a Reductive Saboteur. They have the Lone Operative ability, and can infiltrate the setup in the midfield. They also have Stealth and Deep Strike for good measure. They can use the Grenade stratagem for 0 CP, even if you have used it already that shooting phase. They also have their once per battle Reductor's Mine. When an enemy unit ends a move within 12 inches, they roll a d6, and on a 2+, that unit takes d3 + 3 mortal wounds. A potent ability, especially as a unit has to get within 12 inches to even shoot at them. We spoke about the huge number of hybrids. This list takes 3 20-man squads of Neophytes, with the Grenade Launcher and Seismic Cannon, with 2 more squads who swap the Grenade Launcher for Webbers. This list was played before the Index FAQ, which did make some rather large changes to Genestealer Cults. Now a unit must be within 3 inches of a cult ambush marker when they respawn. No longer can the big 20-man squads daisy chain from their marker to get their guns in range or get to an objective. I would imagine it would be a bit of a tight squeeze to get the big squads of Neophytes within 3 inches of a marker. You wouldn't want any terrain getting in the way. I'm sure it will give players a lot more to think about when they place their markers. They also made it so a new identical unit is placed on your datasheet, so the 10 acolytes with the demo charges will be able to use them again when they come back from cult ambush. There is still some ambiguity about whether this would be the case, but it looks that way to me. It's a bit of a shame GW now needs to FAQ their FAQ change. Finally, we have 3 Achilles Ridge Runners with the Mortars. They also take the Survey Augurs to allow other Genestealers to ignore cover, to go alongside the 1+ AP they also give. A very useful buff for the rest of your army. The third place Astra Militarum list had 5 wins. They lost to the tournament as Aldari, so were not affected by the cheating of the Tau player. They did beat Genestealer Cults, World Eaters, Tyranids, a different Aldari list and Custodes. They took on some of the stronger factions and came out on top. A great result for Robert from a faction which is struggling overall. So far in 10th they have a win rate of 41%, which shows what a good achievement it was to get 3rd. It's nice to see Guard can do well in the hands of a clearly talented player. With that said, let's go over the list. Lord Solar Leontis is the Warlord, bringing his 3 orders to any unit. He also gives you a CP each turn, and he allows you to put 3 units in strategic reserve after deployment. Next we see Gaunt's Ghosts. They are lone operatives, infiltrators with stealth and fights first. They have the benefit of cover from their camo cloaks, and they can go off the board and redeploy in your opponent's turn. I imagine they were very useful for board control, as they jump around the battlefield and they are reasonably hard to remove. All members of Gaunt's Ghosts have a straight silver knife, apart from McCall who has his own. We kept the rest off the list to make some more space. Next we see a platoon command squad. They allow platoon units within 6 inches of them to use stratagems, even when battle shocked. They take the Master Vox to allow their order to go out to 24 inches, the Medipack to give their unit a 6+ feel no pain, and the Regimental Standard to give models +1 to their objective control. They can only lead the Death Corps of Kree squad, so I would imagine that's just what they did. We see an Engines here. It has lone operative if it's within 3 inches of a vehicle, and it gives a 4+ invul to 1 vehicle. I would imagine he was using that on the Banesword. He also gets 3 extra attacks with his axe if a friendly vehicle dies within 12 inches of him. Finally, for characters, we see Ursula Creed herself. She allows the unit she is leading to be affected by 2 orders, both of which she could give. Her Tactical Genius ability allows 1 unit within 12 inches to use a stratagem for 0 CP. This has now been nerfed in the Index FAQ, so it only affects regiment units. In this tournament, the Banesword looks like a good target for that free stratagem. The 2 10-man squads of Cadian shock troops take a melter gun, plasma gun, and a Vox caster. The Vox caster allows you to regenerate 1 CP on a 5+ after using a stratagem. We see a 10-man squad of Krieg, who take the same loadout. It doesn't say on the list whether they took a Medipack to get the D3 models restored. They could only have taken 1 Medipack anyway, but the FAQ now prevents you from taking 2 if you take a 20-man squad. There are 2 Chimeras, which would have been transporting the 2 Cadian squads if the platoon command was attached to the Kriegers. This would mean that Leontis would have to be riding around by himself if they were set up this way. How do you think the squads were led? Let us know in the comments. The aforementioned Banesword is over a quarter of the list. It has a toughness 13, a 2+ save, 24 wounds and a 4+ invul from the Engines here. For good measure, Ursula Creed could allow the Banesword to use the 2 CP stratagem to get -1 damage for free each turn. It will be a hard unit to take down without a very large amount of anti-tank, such as what we saw in the winning Aldari list. I can't imagine they won without killing this big Banesword. Its main cannon simply can't be ignored, with D6+6 shots, which ignore cover and have blast. Each shot is strength 16, AP -4 and a flat damage 4. Although it only hits on 4s, I would imagine Leontis would have given it the take aim order to improve the ballistic skill by 1. There is a heavy weapon squad with the mortars for some indirect fire, followed by 2 Hellhounds for some serious anti-infantry with the Inferno cannons. We see 2 squads of 3 Rapier laser destroyers for a lot of anti-tank shots. They have 2 shots each, at strength 12, AP -2, and damage D6+1. They do only hit on 5s, but they have heavy to hit on 4s if they don't move. I think the huge amount of anti-tank the list takes suggests to me that this is a vehicle-heavy meta. We see a single Scout Sentinel to give rerolls of 1 to hit, and to allow the mortars to ignore the indirect fire penalties if desired. We see a squad of deep striking Scions, and finally an allied Calidus Assassin, which is a common choice for many Imperium armies. They allow you to make an enemy stratagem, an extra CP, and can jump around like Gaunt's Ghost. It's great to see a struggling faction do well. Hopefully there will be more good results for Guard in the future. Unsurprisingly, the Space Marines are the most played faction with 20.56% of all players taking them. Aldari are in second on 8.88%, followed by Custodians in third on 8.41%. It takes our resident stats guru and Ultramarine fanboy Fearless Fox many hours to collect all the data. It would be great if you could show your appreciation by liking and sharing the video. It really helps us with the God algorithm of YouTube. We have grouped the win rates by colour, with the key at the bottom of the screen. The tournament runner-up, Gene Stealer Cults, topped the win rates with 66.1%. Just to note, these stats do include the gains from the Tau player who cheated. Unfortunately, we gathered the data before the position was changed. It didn't make much difference to the second most popular and tournament winner Aldari, who got a win rate of 65.5%. Chaos Space Marines did very well in this tournament, getting in blue with a win rate of 61.1%. They did have 4 players in the top 20, 2 of which were beaten by the cheater, so could have placed higher. Some common choices from the list were Abaddon himself, Forge Fiends, Terminators, Dark Communes with various kinds of cultists being seen. Obliterators were also a common choice. The 20th place list took no less than 3 Lord of Skulls, 3 Wartsmiths, a Hellbrute, some cultists and a Noctilith Crown. A rather interesting list. Imperial Knights topped the green group with a win rate of 56.5%, followed by the third most popular faction Custodes, who were on 53.9%. Chaos Knights ran a win rate of 51.5%, with the Tyranids just behind on a win rate of 51.1%. Thousand Sons are the last faction in green, with a win rate of 50%. If you remove the 6 games and wins from Tau, they actually get a win rate of 33.1%. The third place finisher Astra Militarum get a win rate of 44.4%, which is a bit better than their overall win rate in 10th. The most popular faction Space Marines get a win rate of 42.2%. Let's take a look at how the individual chapters and traitor legions perform. Most of the Chaos Space Marine players are unknown, but the single Black Legion player did finish 6th, giving them a win rate of 83.3%. The single Iron Warriors player gets a win rate of 66.7%, with the Alpha Legion player winning a third of their games. Overall, a very good tournament for Chaos Space Marines. We see a lot of Space Marine chapters represented, with the joint third most popular chapter Ultramarines topping the win rates with 54.2%. The other third most popular chapter Death Watch and the Crimson Fist both get a 50% win rate. The Blood Angels get a win rate of 46.2%, followed by the second most popular chapter the Space Wolves, with a win rate of 43.3%. Another of the third most popular chapters, the Salamanders, get a win rate of 41.7%. The Dark Angels are by far the most popular chapter. They get a win rate of 36%. The Black Templars are the final chapter with 4 players. They win a third of their games. If you enjoyed our content, please subscribe, check out one of the videos on screen, and consider using our affiliate links in the description. Thank you for watching.